Things that I understand that people really are struggling with today is they don't have clarity in their life. And without clarity in our lives, we don't know where to go. We sort of bounce back and forth. And so today's talk, I'm going to do a quote from Ernest Homes, and I'm calling it How to Live in Clarity. And I'm going to spend my talk today just talking about this one quote and really dissecting it and see how does this apply in our lives. We begin with, I live in the faith that there is a presence and a power greater than I am, that nurtures and supports me in ways I could not even imagine. I know that this presence is all-knowing and all-powerful and is always right where I am. Now, when we unpack this is a key to living. This is a deep insight that when you really, truly understand, I think you will have a different perspective of life and how you live your life. So let's begin with that. I'm going to begin with the first part of that statement. I live in the faith. First off, the first two words, I live. That means when I say I live, it means every moment of my life I'm consciously living, I'm aware, I'm in it. And then he goes on and he says, in the faith. The faith is an absolute knowing. So I'm living in every moment in an absolute knowing that there is a presence and power greater than I am. And so normally in my Christian upbringing, when I was young, that would be knowing there is a God. But I don't go there. I like the words that Ernest is using in that he's saying a presence and a power, because it leaves it open. It's not clearly defined. Because how do you define infinite? I love the words infinite. It means it's a presence. You know it's there, but you can't put words on it. And you know it's powerful because it's everything. And it's greater than I am. So just if I embody this idea that I live in the faith, the knowing there is a presence and a power greater than I am, I understand that the times when my ego, when my body and that thinks of itself as small, I know that there is something greater than I am. So continue. This power nurtures and supports me in ways that I cannot even imagine. Can you even begin to understand and know, you know at the core of all that you are, there's a power greater than you. A power greater than you. And this power is nurturing you and supporting you beyond ways that you can even imagine? Think about that. We as humans like to believe that we have all the wisdom, all the knowledge right within us. And the fact of the matter is, we have a very limited amount of information. Because our minds are like computers. They're like a hard drive. Whatever we've experienced, consciously and unconsciously, gets put into that hard drive and becomes information. And then when we go through the process of thinking, we pull out that information to deal with what's there. But now can you imagine how limited that is? But understanding and knowing there is a power greater than me. And it nurtures and supports me in ways I cannot even imagine. And the reason we cannot imagine it is because it's not in that memory. It's not something we've experienced. And realize this, the only thing we experience is what we perceive through our five senses. And that is limited. That's why we can't imagine how this infinite presence is supporting us We can't imagine the ways that that's happening because it's beyond our ability to bring into our senses. The statement goes on and says, I know that this presence is all-knowing. In other words, this presence is all wisdom. It's all knowledge. It's an infinite computer memory chip where everything that was, has been, could be thought is already there. It knows everything. So this faith that we have in this presence that is nurturing and supporting us knows everything. Think about that. So we don't even have to guess, is it missing something? Is it going to understand my feelings here? Is it going to know this? No, it knows everything. So that, in fact, knowing this, it actually builds our faith in it to a greater and greater degree. And so take that statement and let's go a little bit further. I know that this presence is all power. So, whoa. This presence that is all power, I believe in it. I know it. And it is supporting me in ways that I don't even understand. Do I really need to fear anything? Why would I fear anything if the power that is supporting me and nurturing me is all wise and all power? What's going to go against it? Is there anything that can go against this presence? If it's all power, there's nothing that can go against it. Because why? There's no other power. If it is infinite wisdom, there is no other wisdom. So when we describe this presence, we're really describing the infinite. And when you describe the infinite, you fully realize that there's nothing but the infinite. There's nothing other than the presence. So you realize then there's nothing to compare it against. There's nothing that can go against it. So if we have the realization, the faith, that this presence is there, and it's all-knowing and all-powerful, and we're living from that, there's nothing we ever fear. Here's another key thing. I know that this presence is always right where I am all the time. So here we have it. This knowing of this all-powerful, all-wise presence is right where I am, right where you are, all the time. It never leaves. Sort of leads you to the next logical conclusion is that I must be a part of that presence. And logically, that makes sense because if there's one infinite power and presence, there's nothing other than it, then the only thing I or you or anyone can be is a part of it. But here's the key. We don't realize it. We feel that we're separate and other things are separate from it. We've not embraced the true fact of oneness, that everything is one. That's the awareness that we're all seeking. I know that at the end of Ernest Homes' life, in his last public talk, he was talking about these very concepts. And all of a sudden, he made the statement, and the veil has been lifted. I believe he realized and knew oneness in that moment. And once he knew oneness in that moment, there was nothing else for him to learn. Isn't that what we all want? We're all seeking something greater than us. And we just want to experience it. And once we experience it, is that enough with our five senses? Is that enough? Is that the reason we're here before we move on to whatever is next. So continuing with our statement, there's not only a power that is everywhere present and right where we are and always there, this power is greater than we are, and we are using it. And that's really an important thing. We're using it. That means I'm using it all the time? Am I using it right now as I'm talking to you? Yeah. The missing awareness for most people is that they don't realize they are both using it and that they can consciously use it. Most of us are using this power greater than we are unconsciously. And that's why we're not getting the life we want. Because we're not consciously directing how to use this power to create life experience. But when we become conscious, we now can take this power, we can use it to create life experience beyond anything we can imagine. And that's why I believe we're forever growing and becoming more. There's something within me that at this stage of my life knows there's so much more I can experience because I have this power that is unlimited right where I am, and I can use it to experience more. And that's what makes me get up in the morning. That's what juices me, is because I'm all about more. And you see, when you understand this, when you understand that you can live in the faith, the belief, the total knowing that there is a presence and a power greater than you, and that this power and presence nurtures and supports you in ways that you have not even imagined. This power is all wisdom, it's all powerful, and it's right where you are. Then isn't it quite clear that your job or purpose is simply to become a conscious creator? To take this power, to take this wisdom, and use it as fully as you can in this life. I believe that's the purpose we're all seeking. To use that which is within us to experience something greater. Keep in mind, there are no limitations other than the ones you put on your own thought. In religious science, we teach everything begins with a thought. Joy is a thought. Hate is a thought. Love is a thought. That's all the human mind can understand. Our thoughts, and everything is a thought, and the value and the emotions that we attach to that thought. I invite you to think a little differently. Have thoughts that you are a part of an infinite power and presence that is here to nurture and support you. And it has given you the power that responds to the nature of your thought. And as you change the nature of your thought, you create the most magnificent life that could ever be imagined. And guess what? You can wake up tomorrow and create even more. That's the beauty of life. Remember, the power to create is within you. And it's its pleasure to respond and give you the entire infinite kingdom of life. Make it so.